Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant. Today we are at the next topic, Instructive Miniatures, and we are at the 8th game today, and we are going to discuss a game by Paul Morphy versus Adolf Anderssen. Mostly everyone knows about Paul Morphy. He was one of the greatest players of his time, and it is said that his thinking was way ahead of his time. In the olden days, concept of center control was already established. Means it was thought that if center is controlled nicely, then the position is superior. But later on, it was also understood that center control cannot be used at the cost of development. Means development of pieces plays a major role in the game. And this game shows little bit of center control versus development kind of scenario. Let's get started with the game. It's a Sicilian game. Sicilian was not that popular at that time. This game was played in 1858. Sicilian theory was not much developed, we can say. White goes nf3. Idea is to play d4, enter the open Sicilian position. Black goes nc6 and white goes for the main move d4. c into d4 and d4. Both sides get what they wanted. Black wants the open c5, white wants to place his pieces in the center. Many moves are possible here, nf6 and c3, then d6 or d6 instantly. e6 was played in the game. Sicilian was less popular. It was said that Sicilian is an opening full of holes. Like here we see the square d6 has become weak. The bishop only guards d6. Black had played the pawn to e6. Idea is simple. If now nc3, he can consider the move bb4. In this game, white went with the move nb5, immediately trying to attack the d6 square. After a6, nd6, bd6, qd6, the queen establishes well on the d6 square, and black will have to attack with some move like qe7, to which white can consider bishop f4. The position is still roughly level, I would say, but white gets the bishop pair in an open position. So black just plays d6, stopping the move knight d6. White immediately forces black to make some positional concessions. White goes bishop f4. As I told you, theory was very less developed, but Morphy is using some conceptual ideas and mainly his feel for development and his good calculation. The combination was very lethal and it was way ahead of his time. Black played e5, only way to protect d6, and white went back b3. Well, it looks like white has wasted the move bishop f4, e5, be3, but against that he has got a positional plus, the square on d5. This square is called an outpost, a square on an open file for white, and it is protected by a pawn. And it is also a strong square, a square which cannot be attacked by enemy pawns. Such a square is usually located on the higher ranks, that is the 4th, 5th, 6th rank. It is near the center. These are the two very important things which we consider for a strong square, and it should be replaced when captured. It should be able to replace by another piece, means pawn not captured. So here black went with the move f5, very interesting move. He is challenging the white center. Black could have considered the move a6 here. Modern theory tells that first we should push the knight back. The knight should not be allowed to settle on the b5 square for very long. We will see for obvious reasons. Black played f5. Immediately he wants to disrupt the white center. If ef, then black can take bishop f5 also. He can go nf6 and immediately go for the move d5. Right now d5 loses to qd5, nc7 check, and knight takes the queen back. Black's castle is broken, pawn is lost, and the position is also bad. The move f5 threatens f4, trying to push the e3 bishop. We saw ef is bad. What is white supposed to do now? Now white concentrates on his development, the active pieces, and he allows black to go with the move f4. So white plays the very obvious in c3, because in today's day such things are obvious to many players, but in Morphy's time, he was the one who started understanding or appreciate the importance of active pieces. We see in Morphy's game that the initiative is exploited very well. White now wants to go with the move knight d5 in many lines, especially the move a6 looks very attractive. Pawn attacks the knight, knight will go back and black will have f4. But here comes very strong knight d5 after ab5, bb6 and the knight enters c7. Castling is broken, knight takes the rook on a8. So black went f4, white goes knight d5, of course that was the point. And now many factors we can see, we can say activity or the positional factors where the white's pieces we find are way superior. Black's king position is not that great, the diagonal weakness is there, knight jumps to c7 as well, but now black has no looking back because nc7 cannot be stopped anyways and black has to take certain risk. F into e3, knight c7 check, kd7 loses instantly to qg4, it mates on the spot. So kf7 forced, white goes queen f3 check, activating his pieces, knight f6 forced, and here another strong move follows. To knight into 8, black can consider the move ef2 or the strong move nd4 or even bg4. Queen will attack the knight, bishop attacks the queen. Perhaps black was counting on this, but now white played bishop c4. A very strong move, stopping bishop e6 when knight e6, k e6 and knight f6 would give a winning position. Already knight f6 is a threat, kg8 allows knight f6 or knight e7 checkmate, king g6 will allow either knight f6 or just move like qg3 check when taking on a8 is also possible. Black went knight d4 attacking the queen, knight f6 check and black plays d5. Of course, when I looked at this game, I felt Anderssen must have focused on this line where it looks like after bishop d5, q d5 is a very decent choice for black. We'll come to the forced moves after bd5, q d5, knight d5 check with the queen, when knight f3, gf3, ef2 check, and we see that bishop is coming out nicely and black's position looks decent. But let's play the position and see. We'll see two distinct advantages for white. After bd5, qd5, knight fd5 giving a check, knight f3 check, g takes f3, e into f2 check, kf2, bishop c5 check, ke2. Dust has settled now, all the tactical complications are over. We see white having two kinds of advantages. One, he has printed knights on c7 and the d5 squares. Rook have the access to the d5 and he is materially up as well. White has an extra pawn. And we'll see his initiative grow strongly after rook b8 forced, when white has the very strong b4, first pushing the bishop back. bd6 allows nb5, so it will be a double attack. So bb6 forced, still nb5, and we see a forced variation, like is compelled to go rook d8, otherwise knight d6 is very strong. And after rook d8, amongst many moves like rook d1, a4, c4 is very strong. When we see the threat of c5, compelling black to play the move a6 now, and the white position is really better. After a6, knight b6, ab, he can just go cb followed by rook d1 and enter a winning endgame. Definitely Anderssen must have thought this position as losing for black, so there was no point in going into this. Thus after bd5 check, black went with the move kg6. White queen is attacked, the c2 pawn is attacked. Black is of course counting on his ability to regain the rook on a1, but white is able to force many things here. Morphy finishes off the game in style after QH5 check, King F6, very strong move, Fe3, immediately threatening castle check when the rook will join. He is not in hurry to collect the A8 rook, and the idea is very simple. If queen takes C7, then rook F1 check, KE7, rook F7 check, at least winning the queen. So Anderssen goes knight C2 check, KE2, and he realizes now the position is almost losing. So he decided to resign the game, but we have to look into certain ideas here before we realize actually what is the reason that Anderssen resigns. There are two variations for black now. One is knight A1 and other is QC7. After the move QC7, as I said, white can choose between any rook to F1, rook A-F1, KE7, rook F7 check, KD6, rook C7. When we see after KC7, there is just rook C1 winning the position, and otherwise the queen penetrates F7 and white is winning. But even more dangerous is the line NA1, when I think Anderssen must have also seen the mate in 6 arising after the moves rook F1 check, KE7, queen E5 check, KD7, DE6 check, king C6, rook C1 check, and knight C2 forced in order to extend the game. But the position is losing. White mates in couple of moves. Let's play the moves and see. Rook F1 check, KE7, queen E5 check, KD7, DE6 check, KC6, rook C1 check, knight C2 forced, rook C2, and now whatever is played, BC5 allows QC5 mate, and KB6 also allows QB5 checkmates, and white wins. Here we saw the typical fight between extra development versus opponent's aggression to control the center, and white used his initiative to its best. I hope you are finding these lessons useful. Do like, share and subscribe the channel. Thanks for your time.